Hey guys, it's Kay from KS Anonymous, and I am back today with another episode of r/PettyRevenge. So today I visited a modern art museum. There was a piece of art consisting of a tunnel you could walk through. It was busy and there was a queue for this particular work. Most people went through at a reasonable speed to allow people behind them to visit as well. However, the lady in front of us wanted to take a picture of the tunnel, and it was clear she was waiting for it to empty. And when I mean waiting, she was standing in the middle of the tunnel, blocking people from going through. Not in a mean way, but just without a care about what was going on behind her. The tunnel in front of her didn't empty, so finally I asked if my wife and I could pass. She wasn't too happy, but she let us. We'd been waiting behind her for like 2 minutes, which is longer than you think. Then I took my revenge. I decided I wanted to have a really good look at the inside of the tunnel. So I loitered and I waited. Every 10 seconds or so, I would look over my shoulder at the woman who was visibly impatient for me to get out of the shot. I didn't. Finally, she gave up, put her phone away, and unblocked the tunnel. I stood outside the tunnel, but within the picture, until she came out. Small, but extremely satisfying from my evil side. Setting, USA. Me, 6th grade math class. I was a painfully shy kid. I'm nearsighted, and most teachers noticed it. Being able to see the board equals being engaged in learning. Teachers usually seated me in the front of the classroom, and I would do really well. Except for this math teacher. My last name is towards the bottom of the alphabet, and he would only seat us alphabetically. For context, later, he was an older teacher. I ended up in the back of his class. After struggling to see the board, being a non-confrontational child, I wrote him a note on my homework asking to move to the front. I got my homework back at the end of class with a big red underlined "No, assigned seats only" written on it. I was devastated. I've never been in trouble and didn't think that it was that hard to switch me around. This is where the revenge plays out. I love to read. I always have. I always had books with me. After being frustrated by not being able to see the board, I quit trying. I would bring out whatever book I was currently reading and just read during class. Nothing was said at first. One day I was reading in class and it just got quiet. Like a sudden drop in temperature. It got quiet enough for me to look up. He was lingering next to me and the whole class was staring. Again, I'm painfully shy. He held his hand out and shouted, "Book!" I handed it over, and when class was over, he had me stand in front of the class and say I was sorry for causing a disruption. I was too shy to talk, ended up getting an after-school detention for defiance. I was also late for my next class. I always carried my books separate from my binders so I could read while walking to class. The next day, he took my book right out of my hands while I was walking into class. I got it back, and by the end of the day, I finished that book. The library had 5 copies of the next book in the series. I checked all of them out. The next day, like clockwork, I walked into class with my nose in the book, and he took it from me. Once class started, and he stopped staring at me, I pulled my next copy out. Eventually he saw it, and he stormed over to my desk. "I didn't tell you that you can have this back. Don't take things off my desk," he yelled. "I didn't," I replied. He turns around, and sure enough, there was a book on his desk, and one in his hand. The whole class laughed. The laughter made him even angrier. He walked over to his desk and slammed the book down. I waited for him to stop staring before I pulled out copy number 3. He sees it and repeat. He takes the book out of my hands, the whole class laughs, and he slams it down on the desk. Copy number 4 is where it got interesting. He sees it, storms over. "Get up!" I grab my binder and stand next to my desk where he opens it and doesn't see anything. He slams the top down and tells me to stand in the corner for the rest of class. He adds book number 4 to the pile and goes back up front. What I didn't know was that the teacher on the other side of the wall called the principal during book number 4's incident, and she was on her way down. I open my binder ever so slowly, it was zippered, and take out copy number 5. Set my binder down and started reading. He sees me. He is hecka mad now. He comes over, screaming at me for disrupting his class. He goes to open my desk, rips the top off of it. He throws my textbook on the floor. He sees my binder, opens it, and dumps the contents on the floor. Right as the principal is walking in the door. She sees him, the papers, me in the corner, and the broken desk. "What are you doing?" He was shocked. All he could muster was, She has a book." Before grabbing me and taking the book out of my hands, she ran over to him, got me loose, and took the book from him. "Are you insane?" He stormed out of the classroom. The principal asked me to come to her office, she called my mom, and I got to go home early. We had a substitute teacher for a few weeks before he announced he was retired unexpectedly. And yes, I was then moved to the front of the class. I still hate math, though. I love how this petty revenge ultimately ended up in this guy retiring. I don't know if he actually retired or got fired or kind of like a combination of the two. But I'm glad that that kind of got rid of him and you enjoyed your petty revenge at the same time. There was a guy I used to like in school. He was in the year below, and one day I gave him a letter saying I liked him and wanted to get to know him better. This guy then spread that letter around the whole school, so for a good year or so, he and his friends made fun of me. He wasn't someone that people generally crushed on, but he used the letter as a way to get some attention on himself. Even long after people lost interest, he would try bringing it up and reignite the teasing. I'm 23 now, and that was a distant memory. But that didn't stop my heart rate elevating and palm sweating when I suddenly saw him in a cafe. I ordered my drink and then waited, hoping he wouldn't recognize me. Worst nightmare. He walks over and says hello. "It's me, Name, that guy from school." I turn and stare at him before saying, "Sorry, I don't think I know you." To which he replied, "Yeah, you wrote me a letter saying you liked me." I put on a face of thinking long and hard before saying, "Wait, from 10 years ago? I remember a letter, but to be honest, I don't remember you at all. I guess you didn't have that much of an impact on me." My drink was ready, so I grab it, and he says, "But you wrote me the letter. You gave it to me." I stop and say with a thoughtful expression, "I remember Dave, Blake, Matt, and Tim, but I'm sorry, I just don't remember you." He suddenly looks embarrassed and then mumbled something as I said goodbye and walked out. It felt good not letting him knock me down this one last time. Good on you, OP. Like, seriously. It was clear if he was bringing it up again, instead of apologizing or hoping, like, because if you felt sorry for something that you did, like, wouldn't you either A, apologize, or B, kind of honestly hope that they didn't recognize you? That to me is a normal response, but for him to be like, "Oh, you gave me the letter," and just pushing it further makes me think that that gave him some sort of importance, and it really seemed to actually bother him that you at least pretended not to know who he was or care who he was. So good on you. I think that was a good petty revenge, and I'm glad that you were able to not let him get you down that time. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching today. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and drop a like and let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. Real quick, I would like to thank my patrons. Up on the screen, you should see my face palmers and my crazy K's. Those are 2 tiers of patron supporters. I also have another tier. If you're interested in any of that, you can go ahead and check out the description box. I also want to let you know if you would like to submit a story of yours to be possibly included in one of my videos. You can send it to ksanonymous@gmail.com. That's also in the description. And I will talk to you in my next video. Bye!